can see the levels are full up. You know, it's been really 2 days of learning and just absorbing. And I think even when we go back to our respective places, we're going to be thinking, as we're driving, we're going to be thinking, what more can I do? What else can I contribute to ensuring our people are empowered through job creation, to my business expanding into external markets? It's really been an exciting time. We've just concluded the breakaway sessions, and I'm going to call up our facilitators to please come sit with me on the stage. I think we thought it's important to give you sort of some feedback, particularly those that weren't in all the sessions, just to give a 5-minute feedback of what has happened. You know, just a snapshot of what happened during your breakaway session. So I would really call up Ms. Chiboni. Is she back? Oh, yes, please come join me on the stage. Ako, Skenjana, as well as Osi, please come join me on the stage, and then we'll give straight over to Ms. Chiboni first. She did the renewable energy section, renewable energy and trade in environmental services, including sustainable manufacturing and the circular economy. Ako Skenjana spoke on stimulating agriculture and food exports, and these wonderful facilitators are experts in their field. Ms. Chiboni, as you see there, South African Electrotechnical Export Council. Mr. Ako Skenjana, Senior Manager, Agri-Processing and Manufacturing, the ECDC, and Osi will talk about export legalities and processes, avoiding cost and delays. And we know that he is a marine lawyer. So please put your hand together for the wonderful panel this afternoon. You can come up, ma'am. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, Program Director. Yeah, I'll just try to scribble my key points, because we've literally just finished quite a vibrant discussion. As you're all aware, renewable energy, sustainable manufacturing, environmental awareness, and ensuring that we conduct ourselves in a manner that allows for our planet and the Earth to continue beyond our generations is critically important. The discussion was quite robust. We had the facilitator of the South African Renewable Energy Master Plan as one of the panelists, a manager from the Eastern Cape Department of Environment and Economic Development, a local manufacturer of inverters who has been manufacturing inverters for 33 years, very importantly, because there were only 2 companies in South Africa manufacturing inverters, and their company has managed to survive. The other one has collapsed. He actually attributes a lot of his success, Mr. Wakamba, to the Eastern Cape Development Corporation and them nurturing and sustaining his business. So I think the importance of having economic development agencies supporting particularly SMMEs is something that came out quite strongly as well in our discussions. And from the SMMEs as well, a lot of the questions around how do they understand the opportunities that exist in the area of renewable energy and renewable energy development. We know in South Africa, for instance, we've got quite a robust program in our renewable energy independent power producer program, being the 2nd largest producer of renewable energy assets on the African continent after Egypt. Despite our load shedding, it is an opportunity that has arisen. And there's a lot of interest in what we're doing in renewable energy. This came out from our facilitator of the South African Renewable Energy Master Plan, which incidentally, for those who are not aware, is out for public comment. So if you've got anything you want to say around that, you need to do that today, because by midnight tonight, the public comment is concluding. But they have got some 4 key pillars: industrialization, i.e. that is using what we're doing in terms of renewable energy to industrialize, skills development, inclusive growth, and ensuring that we bring other people into the space of renewable energy, so we don't just have our big OEMs which is something that came out of the discussion as well, where the SMMEs felt we're just talking about the big companies coming to invest in the renewable energy space in South Africa and Africa. What is there for the small companies? And that's something that was discussed, and I think what we concluded was that it's also incumbent on those of us that are creating these plans to make sure we can showcase and inform SMMEs what is available in terms of opportunities, and not just leave it up to them to try and understand what they can do. So that's something that came out of that. And another key issue that also came out was one around compliance with greenhouse gases. You know, as not just large companies, but also as SMMEs. Very soon, I think we were told that as of next month in October, if you're exporting into Europe, you're going to be charged a carbon tax, and we have to understand how much carbon footprint you have. So whether you're large or small, it's going to be an imperative, so it's going to be part of doing business. So something we need to be aware of. In terms of sustainable manufacturing, I think one of the key things that came out of the discussion was the fact that 90% of the battery minerals that are needed for manufacture of batteries for electric vehicles, 90% of those minerals reside on the African continent. And yet we extract those minerals, they go 50,000 kilometers around the world to be put into a manufactured product that is then brought into our factories. If we're going to do electric vehicle manufacturing in Africa, will be brought back into our factories here. So again, creating a certain carbon footprint, but are we thinking deliberately about how we make sure we can do that manufacture here? We had one of our panelists who is looking at investing in an electric battery vehicle battery manufacturing facility, and explained to us why they chose South Africa as an investment destination. So I think those were the key items that came out, and I just wanted to thank the Eastern Cape Development Corporation for affording us the opportunity to have that robust discussion. It is an important component. There is a lot going on, not just in South Africa, but on the African continent around renewable energy and building that industry. And I think it's important that as Africans, we begin to understand exactly what that discussion is, and we start talking and creating the narrative for Africans to actually drive the industrialization behind the renewable energy growth that's going to happen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As introduced, Akos Kenzana from ECDC, I led the agriculture, stimulating agriculture and food. It was quite a robust session, and I must say the key things that came up, it's the importance of exports. You know, it was appreciated that, you know, with all what we've done with the base, we need to grow, and the opportunity is there. And again, you know, looking at the products that we export, you know, from the primary side, you know, as the province, and you know, your citrus, your wool and mohair, but it became clear that the livestock, it's the next one, because we are a province that has got the resource base, we've got the numbers, and we need to build on that. And again, you know, appreciating the markets, we need to understand the requirements and work towards, you know, complying. And the fact that, you know, the support from the EU, it's an exemplary where the market collaborates, you know, with the country in trying to make sure that we comply. And work has been started on the livestock industry to make sure that, you know, there is some traceability, and also in terms of the residue management. And that's critical, you know, for market access as well. And we said now on the citrus, for instance, which is a major burning issue, then said there is a possibility. It's just that government has to talk, you know, with the organization, and then we manage it and then implement, because apparently there is some resource, you know, to prepare and get the country ready. Then again, the issue of collaborations, you know, between the government and the industry, and even within, you know, the industry bodies, you know, themselves, the organizations. You've got your African Farmers Association, you've got your Agri-EC, and then we need to really come together, because the challenges that have been identified, they're affecting everyone. You know, they do not, you know, select that this one, it's a more commercial. And then key challenges that have been identified, especially on the livestock, it's a stock theft, which now has become like a syndicate, because it's no more like stealing, you know, 1 or 2 cows. You know, it's sort of a wholesale clearance, and you see that it's a trade that is, it is trying to sabotage the industry. And then secondly, the issue on the natural resource management, because as a province, we've got the livestock, we've got the land, but now there's this whole lifestyle development that's taking over agricultural land. Then, government has to really, do its part to make sure that it implements, the legislation that's there to secure, these natural resources. And the issue of the port infrastructure and the system and the operations, it was lifted as a challenge, and then that needs to be, managed so that there is some efficiency in the space. And lastly, but not least, then the issue on the infrastructure, for production infrastructure, the roads and the likes. Now, it was also came up that it's an issue that needs to address it, and it's an enabler, for the sector as well. And where you hear that the government spend about 500,000 to repair a stretch of a gravel road, but when the industry does it, it pays about 270. So it's clear that, we need to manage that and make sure that government does not pay, unnecessarily. And working with the industry, all these things can be, managed, and then the money can be channeled to the right, pockets and the right places. And then again, in terms of the stock theft, we need to look at investing in technology, and that will also help, on the traceability of the animals, which has been a major limitation for the country and the province to export, especially, in the EU and the first world countries. So we need to look at the different and easy to apply technologies. Although some, they will need, some accessibility now in terms of the networks, infrastructure. So it's something that we need to look at. So I think basically it's the spirit as we closed. We are all in this, and we need to work together, government and industry, and taking, every opportunity that comes, for the province, to progress and develop. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. As I'd mentioned, my name is Osi. I'm a maritime lawyer by profession. Where's Senor Chekuti? El Senor Chekuti. I travel a lot, so I know quite a few languages, so I love speaking them and actually expressing myself. But yeah, we had a workshop downstairs which dealt with export legalities. So you find that a lot of companies are losing a lot of money when it comes to exporting certain commodities. So you'll find that a person exports from here, gets customs cleared, it gets customs cleared here in South Africa, but then when it reaches a destination, it gets stuck there at the port, and you get charged per day when it's stuck there at the port. So you have to make sure that all of your documentation is in order. So basically, the first point that we looked at the regulatory compliance. So this includes your export legal documents, such as your export license, your permit, your registration certificates. You have to have those in order when you're exporting products. And moving on to customs clearance, what the documentation you need for customs clearance. So this includes like your invoices. You have to make sure that you have accurate packing lists. You have to make sure that you have certificates of origins. And there's something under the Incoterms, it's called the harmonized system, your HS codes. Now there's thousands of HS codes for different products. So we find that a lot of exporters are putting the wrong HS codes on their products. So you'll find that an orange and a lemon, I'm just making an example, it has different codes when it comes to the HS codes. So now you put on the HS code for a lemon, but it's an orange, that can get it stuck in the destination country. So you find that a lot of people get stressed with regards to that. That's why I always advise, don't try and wing it. Get someone who actually knows what they're doing to actually assist you in getting export ready and getting all the documentations in place. Moving on to payment assurance. Now, your documents like your bill of lading, letters of credit, they provide financial security in order for you to get paid. So you'll find that in certain industries, like in Europe, where there's high competition, there's something called credit insurance, whereby you get insurance just in case you don't get paid. Some people export their products and then they don't get paid in the end. So credit insurance helps with that, also with your insurance for your goods. Let's say it's going via the sea, ocean freight. it's very advisable to get insurance. What if the ship capsizes? So those are the type of documentation. Some importers require you to have insurance in order for them to import your product. So those are some of the documents that you have to have. And then lastly, product compliance and safety. And as I mentioned to Senor Chekuti, one of the hardest places to export food into is Europe. There's certain the product safety requirements and environmental requirements, and extra documentation you need in order to export into the European market. So that's why I always mention, contact people like us who've been in the industry. I've exported mostly agricultural products. I've dealt with companies that export agricultural products. So yeah, it's very important to consult someone who knows the industry and that can get you export ready. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much for those summaries. We're now going to call on the CEO of the Eastern Cape Development Corporation, the gentleman who made it all possible, who signed the checks for all these wonderful, for us to be here today. Please give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Lizelle, and a blessed afternoon to you all. Thank you. A very big thank you. Let me emphasize that to you all for gracing this occasion. I've been listening intently, making notes, and moving in between the commissions and talking to attendees and getting a sense of the value which this session is offering us. I must say I'm very, very encouraged. We doing this, I think it's a 5th installment. We see many more, and we've taken lessons from today. We continue to do so, even from the previous ones. But I've got a few notes that I have put as part of this closing remark. I think one matter I want to highlight, which is a given to all of us, is just the importance of trade, including export trade. This is a lever for economic growth. It is a vehicle for job creation, something very, very key for all of us, I think in Africa in particular, but also throughout the world. This is important for the BRICS partners. It is important for the African countries that have graced this session. We therefore took note and appreciated the role that the Eastern Cape government has played over the last 5 years, particularly relating to this forum, as well as at this particular forum, evidenced by the Premier, supporting this initiative. I think those who were here yesterday experienced this notion. The Deputy Minister for Trade was here, as well as the SG for the AFCFTA was here, which is all much appreciated. I want to extend a special word of appreciation to all the facilitators, the program directors, the panelists, most of which are drawn from the trade partners. The trade partners themselves come from both the public as well as the private sector organization. Thank you very, very much, colleagues. We have senior people who have graced us with their time here over the 2 days, who have shared their insights on various topics that are key for growth. I also want to extend a word of thanks to the policymakers drawn from various public sector institutions at nation level, government, provincial level, local government level. I've seen many colleagues who come from all of those categories here. Thank you, colleagues. Business chambers, The African delegation, I think a special word of appreciation. Last night, I had an opportunity to speak with most of the African colleagues who attended the dinner we had for the graduation of the trade promotion, export trade promotion trainees. Special word of thanks also to the BRICS delegation, the buying mission that came down to join us, the exhibitors, as well as local economic development practitioners who made this session a very interesting one, particularly from a local point of view. I think if there's a message I want to leave us all, is that things matter when action takes place. So at an individual level, at an institution level, at a nation level, the question that we ought to take back home is, what is it that will change? What is it? What ground will shift as a result of us all having attended this session? Many questions arise once one goes to that area. One question is with relation to trade barriers. What is it that can we do? Instead of pointing these out, for example, and talking about the tariff barriers and the cost of transportation, can we do something about it? If by the time we meet next year, we would say we have undertaken a study of the major trade goods between a specific corridor, we've identified what are the real impediments in the transportation of movement of goods, and these are the solutions we're proposing to those challenges. This would have been worth a while. At the level of institutions, what is it that we will do to up our game in supporting trade and export trade? What aspects of this value chain that we will champion with our governments? At the level of entrepreneurs, what interventions will we do to get our products better competitive? How will we make sure that we offer products that are of a world-class standard, that have the chance of succeeding, not only within local markets, but also in international markets? At the level of individuals, what is it that I will change in how I handle myself, in how I conduct myself in business, in how I interact and interface with others from a business point of view? So there is a lot that we can do just at the level of each individual who's occupying a seat and who attended this. It would be a shame if all of us would continue to come to events of this nature and continue to point fingers elsewhere, that government should do more, that private sector should do more, that multilateral institutions should do more, and forget that we are in fact those institutions. All of us are drawn from those institutions. So that's my trust that we will use this engagement productively. Well, one of the lessons we will be taking to the 2024 installment is that we need to take track of what has been achieved. What are these trade deals that have arisen as a result of these engagements, and share those at these continuous sessions. So we've listened and we've taken note of that. Well, we are at the end of this session. We trust that you will make the best of your stay in the Eastern Cape. We hope that you will not leave with this afternoon flight, and that you will leave either on Sunday, maybe Monday next week, Thursday, something like that, and that you would find activities to do around the Eastern Cape. We have a very rich offering, very, very rich offering, starting from the people themselves. So I want to, speak a word of what? A divine word as I close this. I want to wish you well and pray that the good Lord cover you as you travel to your various destinations, and that all this be for the glory of the Lord. Thank you. The session is closed.
Lunch is ready downstairs. The exhibition